Alrighty, welcome everybody to another edition of the Whiskey Gingers podcast. I'm Brandon. That's Chris, and naturally, we're not going to be able to be in person every show, but pretty good comeback. I mean, we went from 3 months, we weren't able to work anything out. To, was it every other week? Probably not, but I do think we're 2 for 2 in the month of February, so we're off to a pretty hot start.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that we got a little bit more out of it, so I'll be happy about that.
Yeah, I think we were first. I guess we wind up being first weekend last weekend. I think first weekend of Feb, last weekend of February.
Actually, yeah, I can check when I made the post because I usually post that. Yeah, so February 3rd. February 3rd was when we did our last one. So I mean, 2 in a month ain't too bad for us. I mean, using our way back into this and everything, we appreciate the patience as we get rolling here, but it's the way to go.
It's every other, but the long way. We promised you 2 episodes a month. We didn't say how we were going to do it.
Yep, exactly. So we can clearly see the difference here between our good camera quality and my horrible quick camera quality that I got. I don't even remember where I got this from, but Logitech usually doesn't do me wrong, and this was not their best product. But I guess you get.
Oh, you bought that one?
Yeah, I bought a Logitech one.
Okay.
I think I bought this one, unless you did, maybe.
I don't think you did. I think we were in a pinch one day, and I got this at Ollie's Bargain Warehouse. It might be by Logitech, but it's not their best.
You might be right. You might be 100% right.
Yeah, that kind of rings a bell. But the people, we both have faces for radio, so the people are here for the content, not the visuals.
I feel like at least my audio should be pretty good, considering I have like a really decent gaming headset that I'm using for this.
Yeah,
so
you're crystal clear that way.
So cool.
But yeah, I generally hold on to all the podcasting equipment. So on days when we're virtual, Chris is caught a little bit with his pants down, but
I'm just reverting back to like the early 2000s in camera technology.
Yeah, Chris looks like MySpace over there.
Exactly. You could, it would be like a freeze frame of myself, and it would be like your top 10 friends. It would be like one of these out there.
Yeah.
I'm like kneeling down next to some like record or something.
For sure. But yeah. But it kind of works out. Usually when we do these at-home episodes, it's just kind of because, we couldn't figure out another way to do it. So we both just kind of drink whatever's in our liquor cabinets. But I think I have a brand new bottle, which we kind of forgot we had, so I'm glad to get that out of the way. And then Chris is kind of doing an oldie but goodie. We haven't done Breckenridge in a little bit. We did it on the show, and I remember correctly, we both enjoyed it. So that should be a nice visit. And then I thought we were all the way through our care package from the gang over there at Proof and Wood. But we weren't. I still have an 8-year-old Polish rye whiskey called the Globe. So I am excited to see how this turns out. It is, I think, on the stronger side, if I remember. I mean, I don't always remember where all our ABVs lie, but this is 100 proof. So I think that'll do the job for keeping me warm in the winter months over here.
Certainly more than the Breckenridge. The Breckenridge is 86 proof, so you'll be a little more warm in your belly. But that's okay. I really couldn't remember if I have had the Breckenridge or not. I mean, at this point, we've done so many different whiskeys, it's hard to tell. But like, there are some that stick out every now and again, and I do vaguely recall like enjoying this. So it was a birthday present for my wife, so I'm very interested in cracking it open and reliving it.
Well, without further ado, I just had to drink some of my melted ice out so it didn't wash down my whiskey. So we should probably get to pouring on these.
Yeah, I'm gonna open mine up here. It did
I love the boys at Proof and Wood. They take good care of us. I do wish that they would do away with the sticker that holds the cork down, because it is kind of a bitch, and it always comes apart in like 18 pieces.
I just had something happen to me that I feel like I haven't had happen in a long time. You know how some of the wrappers that are around the whiskeys, they have that little pull tab that gets you started?
Yeah, the little wax thing.
Well, so I used it, and it ripped prematurely. So I didn't get the cap fully off, so I had to fight with it a little bit. But we're good now. We're all good.
All right. Let me give it a shot here. Let me get this glass out of the way.
I'll give you a little cork pop sound first.
Whoa. Whew, That thing was in there.
Smokes, dude. The heck?
That was really in there.
I'm wondering if that has something to do with like the temperature differences in your cabinet and stuff, but that was pretty serious.
It could be. My cabinet's freezing cold.
All right, ready?
Yep. Nice.
A little less
a little less dramatic.
A little less dramatic on that one, a little less gusto.
Yeah, I was getting kind of nervous, like how bad is this going to make me look on camera that I can't open my whiskey bottle. I have to run under some hot water like a jar of pickles.
Definitely not the look you want to be going for.
No, I have to go off camera.
Yeah. Technical difficulty sign just shows up, and you come back. Oh, sorry for that brief commercial break.
What is kind of funny is as we're doing a whiskey show, I got after it just a tad the other weekend, and this is still next to my computer. I still have the Pedialyte out.
It's funny. I've never used something like that after like heavy drinking ever.
I was never really a believer in it until I had to use it for something else. Like I was like dehydrated, like medically, and I used it, and now I'm kind of a believer. Like it really does make a difference.
I have, I think, on one occasion tried one of the liquid IV packets in water.
Same general idea.
Same principle. So, but without further ado, my friend, here's to you.
Well, we kind of nailed that. Did you see that?
It was in sync.
Woo, boy. That is a strong Polish rye.
Strong is in the sense that like it was a lot with the 100 proof, or strong as in the rye flavor is like right in your face?
I think more the rye flavor. Like it did, like the hair on my arm did briefly stand up.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, I'm sure if I had 2 or 3, I'd be a problem to myself and others, but it doesn't hit you like that where it's like, oh my God, like it does taste good. It's just a lot of taste.
It's also interesting because I almost wonder if it's one of those things where like historically you and I didn't really love in the beginning bourbons. We didn't really love in the beginning ryes. It makes you wonder, with the amount we've subjected ourselves to different bourbons, we've kind of found the niche that we fall in that we really like for bourbon. You wonder, I know you specifically still don't really do the ryes too much. I wonder if you had more of them, if you would find that kind of niche that fit your bill of what you were interested in.
It is possible, and I want to be very clear that I do like this. I enjoyed that sip. It just caught me a little off guard. But when you read like the breakdown on what this is, it is pretty much the antithesis of what we tend to enjoy.
Sure.
Aged in French oak, right off the bat, not good. In
Brandon's personal vendetta against the French.
Yeah, if you're new here, ex-bourbon barrels. Like you said, love some bourbons, but as a whole can be a little bit tricky. Finished in rum barrels. I don't know about you. I'm not a huge rum guy. So I'm working with a Polish rye in French oak, bourbon, and rum barrels. It is an enjoyable whiskey, but it has got an uphill climb for me to enjoy it.
It's got all the factors working against it in your normal repertoire.
It's coming from behind for sure, but it's not bad.
Well, I was going to tell you earlier, and I figured I would save it for the pod. So this was one of the gifts I got for my birthday from Morgan, and she also got me another one, and the other one I've been like really into Traveler for like just have in the house. You want to pour a glass of bourbon, or like you want to have it with something. Traveler has been great. It's a Buffalo Trace brand with Chris Stapleton. They partnered together. Awesome whiskey. I swear by it for the price that it is. It's like $35 in the store. Yeah. You really can't go wrong with a 750 milliliter of like that decent quality for that. So I always keep that in the house. And all of a sudden she bought me what looked like a bottle of Traveler. I was really confused because like, not that I would ever say no to have an extra bottle of that in the house, but I already had a bottle of that in the house. So I was a little confused. And then she goes, take a closer look at it. And I said, okay. And just for reference, like Traveler is 80 proof. It's like, maybe it's like 41% or something, but like it's nothing substantial. This one was farm strength for that specific thing. So I'm thinking to myself, Traveler Farm Strength, what does that even mean? So I look at the bottle and it was literally 120 proof. And
Jeez.
I'm like, okay, that's a little difference. It's like 60 something percent, like 61% or something like that. I'm like, holy smokes, this is going to be like, a heavy hitter. So it has all those flavors that I really like about the Traveler. It just kind of like dialed up a little bit. So I
Mhm.
was I was almost considering breaking that out for today because I do like it, but I'm like, on a Tuesday, maybe not
Be a
so
tad
much.
much.
Maybe not so much the move, just in case I'm like enticed to have a second glass on the pod or something. Probably
Yeah.
not the best idea.
So you're doing the that was a side note, but you're sticking with the Breckenridge for the show.
I have the Breckenridge, and I think it's very good. I do. This is going to sound so scripted because, like, especially to people that are new to whiskey, it's like, how do you even tell the difference between them? I do
Mhm.
remember the taste of this whiskey from having had it with you, so it did refresh my brain, like after having drank it, and it is good. It's a
Yeah.
solid glass. There's nothing wrong with it at all.
Yeah, I remember. If I remember correctly, when that came out, I think we were on like a little bit of a dry spell as far as like enjoying what we picked for that week. I mean, we haven't.
Yeah.
We haven't hated too many things really since the beginning. We were trying some outlandish stuff, but we were kind of on a run of like meh, good, not great, a little overpriced, whatever whiskeys. And then, if I recall, Breckenridge was one of the ones where we were like, okay, I'm enjoying this one because this one kind of got us back on track. I haven't had it in a little while. It's sitting
Yeah.
in my liquor cabinet, but I mean, from what I recall, the thing that stuck out to me was it was like a lighter, more refreshing whiskey. But sometimes with those, they skimp out on the flavor. It just comes
Yeah.
off as watery. That one, if I remember, still had that full body kind of bourbon flavor, but it went down smooth, went down easy. You could kind of sip on it. Like I remember liking it.
Yeah, no, it's not bad at all. It also is a Colorado whiskey, so I'm wondering if it was something that we did around the time that we had one of our guest stars on.
I bet we did that with Mile High.
Yeah, that would have been my guess. But even if we didn't, we certainly did it around the same time, I'm sure.
I'd be willing to. We had a hard time finding a bourbon to do with them, so I'd be really willing to bet that that's when we had Breckenridge.
I feel like there's got to be more Colorado bourbons out there that we haven't really tried, but it seemed like in our area it was like real slim pickings. There wasn't really a lot of options.
Yeah, I remember having that conversation with the Mile High Bourbon and Rye guys, and we had kind of said like, "Oh yeah, we got Breckenridge," and they're like, "We don't even know what that is."
I was fact checked on the the Traveler whiskey. It's not farm proof; it's full proof. Is their label on that one?
Oh, farm strength is way cooler. They got to change that.
Yeah, I think that definitely should have been the other option, but it is 121 proof, 60.5 ABV, and it literally released this month this year. So that was one of the first ones that I was able to get one of the first bottles in production.
That's pretty sick. Cool. That's awesome.
So.
Speaking of which, this cool thing with the proof and wood, now that we kind of know the guy behind it, the bottle numbers are, you can tell they're handwritten because they don't fit in the squares. I'll see if the camera does this justice. I'm not sure if it will. It might not be able to focus closely enough.
Yeah, it's like almost
there it is. Yeah, you can see where like it's definitely handwritten because they couldn't keep between the lines.
That's pretty sweet.
So this is bottle 2383 of the Proof and Wood Globe, which I mean we've had bottles that have seemed to be smaller, but this one I actually believe. Like, sometimes we've had like some national brands that have said batch like 57. There's no way.
But the problem with the batch thing is you don't know how many bottles they're making per batch. A batch in a big company could be like 200,000 bottles.
Exactly. Yeah. This one I believe is actually probably the 2,380 something bottle that came out. So that's kind of neat to know where it came from.
I agree. That's really cool. And you know what? Shout out to them. It was very fun getting all of those different whiskeys to try, and it lasted us a long time. I'm glad that we kind of like sprinkled them in and kept them a little bit fresh, because we could have done them like back to back, week to week, but I just think that it was cooler to break them out every now and again, especially some of the higher end ones were really neat.
Yeah, I forgot. I genuinely forgot we had this one. I really didn't mean to sit on it as long as we did, but it did work out pretty well.
I think it might have been even one of the ones that the guy talked about while we had him on the show. Was that
Probably
specifically? So it's kind of cool that we got to try that.
I'll have to see if they have anything new coming out. I'm sure that wouldn't be a huge imposition to get a refresh.
Yep. So I had an interesting conversation with one of my coworkers today, and we were talking about like obviously we're in the podcast business for drinking whiskey,
Yeah.
right? So like we got in this weird conversation of like some of the coworkers that we have that are like significantly younger, like in their early 20s.
Yeah.
It almost feels like drinking culture has like fizzled out.
It really has. It's a damn shame. It's a lost art.
I was gonna say, do you agree with that? I mean,
yeah, I absolutely agree with that.
It died with millennials in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like millennials will go out and like, have a couple drinks with friends and stuff. We enjoy that. That's like been a pastime. It certainly was a lifestyle for people that are older than us and many other generations. But I feel like for whatever reason, like right after millennials, it just stopped.
Yeah, there's there's a lot of like I've seen a lot of like I don't want to use the word studies because it sounds too official, but like a lot of I guess think pieces maybe is the word, or like articles maybe.
Yeah.
Where people have kind of brought up that bars are hurting, the alcohol industry is hurting, like the overall like drinks consumed is down by millions, like across it is a noticeable thing where people just aren't drinking the way they used to. And I think there's there's definitely a couple of things that go into that. I don't want to, because, there's a small, I feel like we get blamed a lot for stuff that is not at all our fault too. I don't want to necessarily pass that, you'll see somewhere it's like, oh, millennials aren't, eating out anymore and the restaurants are hurting. It's like, well, a burger is $18 respectfully. Like, that's probably why no one's doing it.
So I'm using our fantastic, friend AI to search this question for us. And I searched which generation drinks the most alcohol, which is like the most direct way to answer this question. And the very first one that came up was millennials, roughly age 27 to 42, currently consume the most alcohol per capita and considered the heaviest drinking generation in history, often spending more on alcohol than other generations, with annual spending reaching $23.4 billion. While Gen Z is drinking less, they, along with millennials, are driving trends in hard seltzer and flavored focused drinks.
Yeah, I mean but you got think of the media that we grew up with. Like it was like MTV was at its peak. Like reality TV was at its peak. The Shore was changing into something else. Like you figure like our parents grew up with shore bars and family vacations, and then now the Shore's kind of been priced out to where to go to the Jersey Shore you could just as well go to Florida or Disney or whatever else. But for our little slice of time, like the shore bars were the place to be. You had shore houses were born. Like there was like a window that we existed in where everything was kind of like partying based, drinking based. And, I think before that you saw more, local pubs, taverns, dive bars, couple of beers. And now I think you're seeing after that, people are like way more like reclusive, like staying home, protecting your own peace, whatever bullshit that is. Or like, I don't know. I think you're right. I think there is there's a drinking epidemic in this country, and it's not that people are doing too much of it. They're not doing enough.
It's the reverse. So it also says that Gen Z are drinking roughly 20% less per capita than millennials, with nearly 1/4 of this group not drinking at all. Which is
that's bananas.
Which is what I'm kind of noticing. They said Gen X and baby boomers. It said, well, younger generations often have higher per volume capita. Older adults, particularly baby boomers, have shown dramatic increase in harmful binge-style alcohol consumption.
That just sounds judgmental by AI. It's only binge drinking you have a problem. I want to stay on this because I do think that there's a lot of meat left on the bone here, and I want to keep it into it, but we don't have a comment section for nothing. So I want to address our old friend Lola's. But it's a decent question, and it kind of it does kind of tie into this. So
is it on brand?
Yeah, and we can kind of keep with this thread we're on. So, in your opinion, if you're out at, let's say, let's call it a cocktail bar for the fun of it, that's probably the place you would order it. What, in your mind, is an appropriate price for an old fashioned?
I have to be honest with you. I like never pay attention to the price of an old fashioned, and that's like really strange to say. But like,
especially for you, like you're usually pretty like
I'm usually pretty
cost
concerned
conscious,
about that. Yeah, like I don't usually do that. But I think my justification is like if I'm going to be out at a bar and I'm drinking that kind of drink in that kind of environment, I know that I'm probably out for like let's say it's like a double date or something, or like I'm out to dinner with my wife or we're celebrating a fancy occasion. I know that the bill is going to be expensive at that point, so I don't even like think twice about what it is. And I'd also feel like my idea of what I think even a mixed drink should cost nowadays is probably way off base with what it actually costs because I don't really do that all that often. My guess is like a mixed drink is probably like $13 at like a normal bar rather than like, if you go to a stadium or something, the drinks are like ridiculously overpriced.
If you get a mixed drink at a stadium, I'm assuming you're a Rockefeller.
Yeah, or something like that. But I would imagine an old fashioned because it's essentially like just a lot of bourbon. It's like a heavy pour. I'd imagine they could go upwards of $20. I wouldn't really love the idea of spending $20 on an old fashioned, but they probably are that, and I just don't notice because, like I said, I just know that when I'm going out for a night like that, I just don't really pay that much attention to the price.
Yeah. I would say, look, I think, in my opinion, I think old fashions across the board should be capped at $15. Like I think in my utopia, the top end, like 4-star old fashioned should be around $15. Is it? No. The line for me where I would go, you know what? Actually, I don't want one. It's okay. Is probably like you said, it would be 18 to $20. And it's going to depend on the location. So if I see $18, but I know the bourbon, maybe it's like a speakeasy kind of feel where you have like an actual like mixologist making the drinks and stuff. I can talk myself into it.
Sure.
If I'm at my local Irish bar and they try to get me for $18 and I know it's going to be like, Dewar's, Jim, like something kind of standard, at that point I'm going to pass.
Do you think that you would pay more if you're mixologist, and I'm being rude here because I know that those people actually exist, if they had like suspenders on, do you think that you'd be like willing to pay them a little bit more for your old fashioned, like if they looked the part? Or if it was just some guy in like a t-shirt there's a mixologist, do you think that you'd be more impressed by one or the other?
It's a good question. Because I've been in this scenario. Like I enjoy trying to find speakeasies in different cities that I go to. And in doing that, you realize how some of them are just kitschy and just dressed the part, and the drinks are all the same. And then I've been to a couple where they are really really cool, and you have to go down an alley, find a certain door, knock a certain way. If there's no line, like you have to be like I've done some cool ones like that. So I think for me it would be less about the bartender, more about like the overall experience. And then I like to sit at the bar. So I'm looking down the bar and I'm seeing what other people's drinks look like. If I see, like a real deep brown old fashioned rocks glass, maybe like a big orb, glass, I'm looking at their whiskey selection. If I see a lot of like names I recognize, that stuff is going to influence me more than the bartender, I think.
Sure. I don't think I ever, speaking of like old fashions, I don't think I ever just order an old fashioned. Like, I mean, if it's on the specials menu or something and it actually sounds good, I might entertain it. But typically, if I'm ordering an old fashioned, I'm ordering it. Like, I feel like the right way to do it is to order it with the bourbon that you want. Like, if I order an old fashioned, typically, like, my norm is a Buffalo Trace old fashioned. Like, I'll get a Buffalo Trace old fashioned any day of the week. I think it's delicious. It's like good for what I'm paying for. Like, that's kind of like where I want to go. I don't know if I'd want to be like much lower than that as far as getting an old fashioned.
Yeah,
So
that's
also
fair.
at the same point, you wouldn't want to go much higher because are you really going to notice the difference if you're doing like an Eagle Rare old fashioned over a Buffalo Trace old fashioned? Like that just seems to
Well,
me like it's probably not worth it.
and that's a tough comparison because they're made by the same people too.
I know, but like they're totally different price. That should be the best comparison because like you're purely talking money at that point. You know,
Yeah.
like is it justifiably that much better? I will say certain bourbons that have a higher proof produce a different tasting old fashioned. So like that's something to consider. You know, that makes a big difference actually.
Yeah,
So
and that's like I know my whiskey taste is different than my taste in old fashioned because of what you're talking about. If I think there are ways to like ruin or like offend a really good bourbon or whiskey. Like
yeah,
I would never like you should never mix like a really good bourbon or whiskey. You know, if you want to do like I mean it's called Jameson and ginger for a reason. Jameson is the top end, like nothing above that should be mixed with soda in my opinion.
yeah.
To answer Lola's other question, you know, if you want to do cherries, that's fine. You just can't muddle them in anything in like a really good old fashioned.
Yeah,
So
you got it. You hit the nail right on the head. I can't stand that. I don't know if that's like going against the grain or not. I don't mind if it's in there as a garnish, but the minute it gets muddled, I'm like, no, thank you.
yeah, so that's where like you can ruin a good whiskey. But if it's an honest to god, true blue old fashioned, I don't think there's any bounds on how high you can go like whiskey wise on that. That's my opinion. Like
Sure.
I would put Eagle Rare in an old fashioned because I don't think you're not taking anything away from it. I mean, I naturally like ice in my whiskey anyway, so it's easier for me to say that. But for me, it's all the things I love about a great whiskey on the rocks with some very minor additions that I think bring out that bourbon. Like I don't mind like the little bit of citrus, like it adds a little sweetness. I think if you do it correctly and it's a couple dashes of bitters again, I think it enhances it. So if it's done right, I think it makes a great whiskey better. Now, we've been at the same weddings where you can see people absolutely murder an old fashioned, and at that point, then yes, you can't put great bourbon or whiskey in it because they're ruining it.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. I think you hit the nail right on the head. It's such an interesting drink to order too. And I mean, I feel like people think that it's this crazy thing, but
It's really not.
quite simple to put together. It's like a couple ingredients, but it's all about picking the right ingredients and making sure that you have it right. I also like to see the variations and stuff they do on it because, you know, like typically I'll use I'm going to botch the name, but the Angostura bitters or whatever. I'll use that all the time for my old fashions, but there's other bitters out there. Like there's other flavors of bitters out there. You could change. I've actually just recently, somebody was just telling me about instead of using simple syrup or a muddled, you know, sugar cube, you'd actually replace it with agave. And that would do it as well. And I was thinking about it and I was like, you know what you could actually do as well? We were just talking about like sweet stuff, and I just happened to go to Maple Syrup Fest at Happy Day Farm in New Jersey. And
that's interesting. I mean, you'd have to warn people.
I'm not saying I would just like surprise somebody, but I mean, if you made like a maple old fashioned, you could totally put maple syrup in it. I think if you picked like a good smoky, like this would be one of those times, I think a good smoky bourbon would actually go a really long way. If you did like a smoky bourbon, you did some maple syrup, and then you put something, you know, you'd have to pick the right bitters too. I don't know if the Angostura bitters is the right pick there. And then you wonder if you would even go with like your orange, or if you would kind of like change it up a little bit. I don't know. But like essentially you just kind of tweak it a little bit. It becomes like maybe probably a little more sweet, but I think the maple taste would also be pretty good.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up. I'm due to get back here, but one of my favorite distilleries is in New Hope, PA, and I think we went in the fall last year, so I probably missed this batch, but they do an untapped bourbon where they have like maple syrup trees that they'll work like when they're distilling the bourbon. They'll take this, you know, the sugared syrup directly from those trees and work it into the batch, and it comes out like I'm not a like a what's the word I'm looking for, like a niche like an off-centered bourbon kind of person. Like I don't think Screwball's that great. There's like some chocolate ones that I don't think are that great. But to your point, the maple does work super well in a bourbon.
I think it could, honestly.
Yeah. So that could be an option. You could do in the fall. You could do kind of like a maple old fashioned. I would order that.
that might have to be like one of our fall episodes. We might have to circle back to this and try making ourselves one and see what happens.
Yeah,
there's got to be recipes out there like out the wazoo for this. I'm sure that it's popular, but I just thought that it was cool, and I don't see it every day, so I figured it was worth bringing up.
The next time we do one of these in person, my Valentine's Day gift actually was like this full mixology kit.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't opened it yet, but I think that could be something kind of fun. I'll see what's in it, and then next time we shoot one of these live, we'll break it out, try to make something maybe or something. Or,
we have to wear suspenders when we use it.
We don't have to. No, that's optional. But we haven't made a drink. I don't think we haven't made a drink on the pod in a pretty long time. So that could be a good segment to bring back. And now I have an excuse to do it because they have all the stuff.
I agree. So that sounds like something for people to look forward to.
Yeah, we'll keep that in our back pocket. But until the next episode happens, whether it be in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, back to back, who the hell knows? But until such a time, I'm Brandon. That's Chris. We're the Whiskey Gingers, and we will see you next time.